Hey, we're getting persecution by some evildoers of God's people here in Lake Louise. I'll just little view here. The sun is kind of subtracting from the milky aquamarine blue-green color of Lake Louise, but there's a glacier way back there. So we just finished OneRock 2.0 in Calgary, and I'm with Lizzie, Reezay, and Brian Holdsworth.
Hi.
And so, Lizzie, what's it been like studying the difference between Canadians and Americans?
It's been so fascinating. One of the things I noticed is the way they do Mass. It's so much more calm, and like the way the priests do communion, they really look at everyone and it seems very personal, and the communion takes like 4 times as long.
So unhurried.
Yeah. But you have so much more time to pray, so it's really beautiful, the culture.
What about like personalities, the way people talk about politics here versus the USA where fistfights erupt everywhere?
Yeah, no, everyone's more chill, and people joke about everyone being nicer here, but what I notice with everyone in public is people seem just less angry and more at peace in their souls, which I think is really positive.
I totally disagree with that.
Holier in general, right?
It's just
Yeah.
So Brian, I live in the States. You've visited there many times. What's the kind of compressed version of the difference between the American standard personality, if you can just, I know it's a stereotype, but Americans corporately versus Canadians corporately, how do they differ in your view?
See, and I think this is ironic because I wouldn't say that Americans are more chill, but I would say very friendly in my experience. Like we, on our honeymoon, we did a European vacation tour thing, and it was an English-speaking one. So there was Canadians, Australians, there was people from Great Britain, and there was Americans on it. And I found the Americans to be like really outgoing and really, really friendly.
Give you the shirt off their back kind of.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think the big difference between Canadians and Americans is that Americans tend to have stronger personalities.
More intense.
Yeah, and that friendliness comes with that, right? So if you're going to amplify good traits, they're going to be there. You're going to amplify bad traits, they're going to be there too. Whereas Canadians are just way more reserved. We're not going to be totally in your face one way or the other.
Yeah.
So we're harder to read, which can be, it can create a sense of peaceful coexistence, but at the same time, Canadians can be passive aggressive and can do all kinds of things under the surface and not out in the open that can be just as damaging.
Do you remember, did you have to read the novels of Robertson Davies growing up? Is that familiar? He was a Toronto writer, and he wrote an essay on the difference between the American psyche and the Canadian. And one of the points he makes is that corporately, Canadians are more feminine, not effeminate, but more feminine. We're more kind of inwardly concerned about other people's feelings, longer hair, more Jesus-like in all different ways. Yeah, and Americans are masculine. They're don't tread on me, more kind of warrior spirit. And think about how America started, right? Blood, warfare, independence war.
We never had our revolution.
The Queen comes to Ottawa in 1982 and has tea with Trudeau and signs some documents. That's how Canada started.
Totally.
I think that affects the relationship that Canadians feel toward the state versus the way Americans feel toward the more rugged individualism.
Yeah.
Now that has an implication, I think, for
traitorous.
Wow. We're going to just end it. But that affects the way you do evangelization, I think.
Yes.
One great thing about events like OneRock 2.0 is that we can talk about the glory of social media and staying connected and have Instagram and grow your platform no matter what it is. But it's meetings like this and conferences where you're in the room with other human beings. You can eye contact. You can do what's your story? Eat together. I just don't think there's a substitute. There's no equivalent to being at an event like this where you're hearing a speaker and you can rub elbows and share resources in a way that doesn't involve texting. You know what I mean? Now you're really active online.
Yeah.
So what platforms are you on? What's your main sweet spot?
My YouTube channel is my biggest thing, but also my Instagram and my Twitter. Especially on Instagram, everyone sends DMs, so personal messages to me, and on Snapchat as well. And my subscribers will tell me like paragraphs of their life stories and what they're going through. So even though a lot of people are seeing kind of like the public output, it's very personal and one-on-one, the behind-the-scenes ministry that I get to do.
Now, Brian, do you have people contacting you too?
Yeah.
On mainly YouTube?
I get contacted on Facebook more, but certainly a lot of interaction on YouTube with comments and that kind of thing.
Let me ask you first, how do you decide what person you'll reply to and what person for your mental health you have to ignore?
Yeah.
And let them be blessed elsewhere.
I'm still new to the game, so I'm trying to respond to everybody, but eventually I'm going to have to come up with an algorithm.
Are you more likely to respond to someone who praises and loves you, or are you more
Absolutely. Yeah, I ignore.
What about how do you handle critics? Brian, you suck. What say you?
I'm really interested in dialogue. Like, I love the opportunity to have a conversation with somebody. If someone's going to show up, and this is my Canadian approach, right?
Yeah.
If someone shows up and offers critical feedback to me in a respectful way, I'll usually respond to them and have a conversation. If someone shows up and they're just like angry, like obviously you're not looking to have a conversation from a place of goodwill. So I'll usually just say, oh, I'm sorry, sorry I didn't like it, you know?
Right.
But
Lizzie, what about you? Now you get I've read the things that people say about you
Yeah.
from the left and the right. So you get 360
watches my videos.
slamming. Do you engage your foes, or do you tend not to want to start
Yeah.
debates? Because
Yeah,
you can go to our rabbit hole. That you spend your whole day doing that, right?
I find that in my comments, if someone comes across as really angry and mad, if I respond to them in a really chill way and answer their question, then when they reply, they're really calm. And so
Right.
I feel like people, if you respond to them in a way that is peaceful and loving, they'll kind of like feel your essence and feel calmed down. Like if you can validate people's emotions and try to make them feel that you understand why they think the way they think, then they're going to calm down and be more open to listening to your perspective.
can I change my answer? That's actually what I do. I do that.
Yeah. You calmly
So
responding.
just even if no matter what name they're calling you, you're focusing in on the fact of the data. And honoring the fact that they've included that too, well, isn't that another way of understanding what disarming means? You're inviting them to put down their arms.
Totally.
'Cause you might want to fight me. I don't actually want to fight you, but I'll answer your question that you've raised, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes I find that my critics, people who they just don't like me, no matter what I say or do. Sometimes you just don't like a guy, right? But often a critique will contain a truth about what I'm doing that I actually should improve. So sometimes there's that blessing that contained in the curse that you're getting, because it's new information.
Yeah.
Now here we go. Look at this. Hark, Kiwasabi, validly ordained priest,
Indeed, I am.
Father Cristino, Bouvet, Diocese of Calgary. So we're just doing kind of a wrap up on Rock 2.0 against
Awesome.
the jaw-dropping league.
Mount Fairmount.
Beautiful. What's it
I
called?
wish I could have taken you up there. Or Fairview, sorry. That's
Fairview,
Fairview.
okay.
This is the Fairmont Chateau Lake Erie.
Oh, right on.
Mount Fairview. I've climbed to the top of it.
Yeah?
It's a magnificent view.
How many hours does it take Peterson?
Oh, yeah, there's a long series of twistbacks in the trees.
Is it named for Fairview, Alberta?
No,
Where Jordan
I
Peterson
think
is
it's
from?
named for the fair view of this
I
lake.
see what they did there.
I see.
Very subtle. Yeah. Okay. So. Yes. So you want to be
Next time
say hi
we'll
to the
take
internet.
you up the Devil's Thumb.
Who are you?
Oh, I'm Rika. Rika Worth.
She's the true puppet master of the entire event.
Nobody important.
That's true. So, closing words? My closing word is anti-disestablishmentarianism.
What is my? Can Brian go first?
Second. What's your closing word, Brian?
Fairview.
Fairview. That's profound.
Less.
Final word.
Less. What was it?
Less is more?
No.
You're buying her time.
Yeah.
Actually, she's maintaining a noble Buddhist silence. That's her word. The wordless.
Beauty and union.
That's three. You want to go with and?
Yeah, and
Okay, that's the close word. So,
The conversation.
yeah. So, tell people your YouTube channel suffix. How can they connect with you?
Lizzie's Answers, and then my social media is Lizzie Reezay.
R-E-E?
Reezay.
Yeah, Z in Canada. Did you pick that
Zed?
up?
No.
Yeah, Z is pronounced Z in Canada.
Zed.
And the
That's so
British
cool.
Empire. Yep.
Really ruins the song, unfortunately. It doesn't rhyme
Yeah,
at the end anymore.
WXY
but-
Z. Clunk! And you?
Just Brian Holdsworth on YouTube, and then Brian Holdsworth Media on Facebook, and I can never remember my Twitter handle.
Something about holds the worth?
It's Keepsworth. I think it's Brian Keepsworth.
Yeah, little thing called Google's your friend.
There you go.
All right, so be a saint. What else is there?